Hi everyone, and welcome to Victoria's Action Figure Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Bastila Shan from Knights of the Old Republic. Here's a look at the packaging.
So the packaging is more of the same Black series that we've been seeing for the last year, what I like to jokingly call the bland series, since there's not a whole lot to it, but it's decent enough, I suppose.
This is the second time that this particular figure has been released. Originally, she was part of the vintage collection back in 2012, I believe. And she was very scarce. I never happened upon her at retail. I looked and looked and looked. And the price of her skyrocketed on the secondary market shortly thereafter. So good on Hasbro for reissuing such a hard-to-find figure. It saves us collectors lots of money by not having to go through the secondary market. And it relieves some of the stress that comes along with having a hole in your collection that you really want filled by a particular figure. So Bastila is a pretty decent figure. I played Knights of the Old Republic, never quite finished it. And from what I recall, she was one of the main characters that the story revolved around. So, it's really nice to have her in action figure form. The detail of the figure itself is quite nice. I think the sculpt, they did a pretty good job with it. The detail in the paint on her is nicely done, and for the most part, she looks like what we saw in the game. Of course, it's not a perfect recreation, but nor were the other figures from this video game that we've gotten before, such as Darth Malak and Darth Revan. Close up there of the head. Pretty nicely done. The paint's a little bit sloppy. If you look at her lips, the lipstick is just kind of like a little splattering of paint that they just dotted on her lower lip, and even that is kind of off-centered, so, it's a little bit of a bummer, but, from farther away, it's not too noticeable. The eyes are a little bit sloppy as well. I guess this is typical of what you might see on a Hasbro figure these days, but it could be worse, I suppose. It could be worse. But the sculpture of her hair is actually really nicely done. It's pretty intricate. I really like what they did there with it, and it looks like what her hair was like in the game. Rest of the costume is quite nice. It's fairly detailed. There's not a whole lot there, but again, it's pretty faithful to what we saw in the game. The coloring is pretty good. It definitely has that more archaic Star Wars look to it. I mean, as if it did take place thousands of years before the film saga. Yet it's also quite soldier-like in appearance. In terms of articulation, Bastila has a ball hinge at the head. She has ball hinges at the shoulders, which are somewhat hindered by that armor that she has on her shoulder. She has ball hinges at the elbows, rotations at the wrists, rotation at the waist, swivels at the hips, ball hinges at the knees, and ball hinges at the ankles. For accessories, Bastila comes with two items. First of all, she has this unignited lightsaber hilt, and it has a little built-in peg right there so that you can plug it into her waist. And the hilt plugs into her belt very nicely. Bastila also comes with a ignited version of her double-bladed lightsaber, and the lightsaber blades themselves are a very nice yellow color. And she holds it very nicely as well. Her hands are very softly made, so that helps to get her fingers to wrap around it rather than have to pry them in and out of her hands. And presto, there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series 2014 Bastila Shan from the video game Knights of the Old Republic. We are more than a decade removed from that game, so I wouldn't doubt it if quite a few people saw her on the shelves and were like, well, who is this character? I've never seen her before. So she's definitely there to satiate the desires of the expanded universe and Knights of the Old Republic fans. On the whole, I say that she's a good figure. She looks enough like what we saw in the game. It's not a perfect likeness, but it's pretty close. Her paintwork is pretty good. It's a little sloppy in the face, could be better, but on the body it's nice. Her posability is what you should expect for this sort of a figure. And the accessories are great. I really love it when Hasbro includes both an ignited lightsaber as well as an unignited hilt, like they did with Bastila. So certainly a good figure. I'm quite pleased to have her, and she will go well with my other Knights of the Old Republic figures. Thanks for watching Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.